Damn, yo. All I need is 125 more people to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will have 1,000 subscribers. It's pretty awesome. What up? What up? What up? What up? Y'all got to get this last 125 subscribers, yo, so I can hit 1K on my YouTube stream before they shut me down again. Hmm. Yo, I was in this bitch for like almost 5 hours, and I really ain't get a lot of painting done. We were just in here mostly talking, and I ate a lot. I ate so much, I slept almost the rest of the morning away. Me and my girl went out and ran a couple errands. I got back in the house like 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock this morning, and ate again. Bro, I fell asleep. What time is it? It's almost 3. It's 3 o'clock now. 11, 12, 1. Yeah, I slept for about 3 hours. Took my ass right back to sleep. About to go eat now. Call me when the macaroni come out the oven. No. No, when you pull the macaroni out, call me, and then I'll be on my way. Okay? Yeah, okay. That's how I used to be. Y'all finished cooking yet? No, I'm gonna come over when the food done. Just call me when it's done. Okay. What is it? Fried fish? Okay, yeah, I'll be over. About to go to my family house and eat right now. Ain't nothing like it, bruh. I'm from South Carolina, dog, so all my people know how to cook. I'm talking about motherfucking turkey necks and ham bones and fucking collard greens and rice and fried fish and grits and shrimp for breakfast and buttermilk biscuits straight from scratch. Bruh, and yeah, ain't nothing like a pumpkin pie from scratch. Sweet potato pie from scratch. Oh, bruh, my family get it in down south, bruh. They taught everybody how to cook. I know how to cook. You know what I'm saying? I even got, I took a picture yesterday. Oh, shit. That's me in the kitchen yesterday, boy. Ooh, got that London broil, some potatoes and onions. Got that blue flame going. Boy. That boy throw down too. Atomic vibes. All the way from Scotland, eh? That was so bad. I tried my hardest never to do foreign accents because I'm terrible at it. But hey, what's up from Scotland? Yo, this shit is the shit, bro. It's called Myoplex. Myoplex original. Like I say, I drink these on the days when I don't work out. On my workout days, I'll get a higher shot of protein. So I'll show you what I eat on my other days. Or what I'll drink. days when I work out, before I go to the gym, I'll take 1 scoop of this and 4 ounces of water. It's creatine. The scoops are not that big. So all you do is take 1 scoop of this, put that shit in 4 ounces of water, and drink that for your pre-workout. Damn, that powder is strong. And then after you work out, I drink this right here. That shit had 60 grams of protein with 2 scoops. So I get my blender out. Oh shit. Get the blender. I'll put a banana in the blender. Get a scoop of peanut butter. Boom, throw a scoop of peanut butter in the blender. And then take 2 scoops of this. Put that in the blender. And then I go half and half with almond milk and water. Pour some almond milk in there. Pour some water in there. Blend all that shit together and drink that shit down. And that's normally my breakfast on days when I work out. And this is your scoop right here. So you put 2 of these and you get fucking 60 grams of protein. And on the days where you don't use this, and plus, especially like if you're on a move and you don't have your blender or your shaky cup or whatever with you, these right here come in handy right off the shelf. Shake it up, boom, pop that shit back. 42 grams of protein, 60 grams of protein, whey isolate. And then you start bulking up a little bit. You're getting them gains. You gotta eat a lot too. And then like just I don't know. You can see like trash alone. There's 2 of these in here. There's one there. I'll be up here drinking these shits all the time. Some protein snacks. That's right, they got 15 grams of protein in it. You know what I'm saying? Whatever, when you just oh, that's what's up, yo. And I'm still learning too as I go along, you know what I'm saying? I've always liked to be in shape, but like getting older, your body changes. Sometimes you need help with especially like when it comes to protein. It's hard to get enough protein if you're trying to build muscle. It's hard to get enough protein every day just by eating food. I mean, you will literally have to eat all fucking day. Your stomach not that big, you ain't got that much time, you know what I'm saying? So getting a quick shot of protein, like anywhere from 30 to 40 grams is good. And you know what I'm saying, just having a shake, throw that shit down real easy. But I don't take a lot of other stuff, yo. Like a lot of people be taking these shred pills, or they call them SARMs. There's this other product called SARMs, and it's a mild steroid. I'm like, I don't want steroids, period. Or where you can take a testosterone booster and it boosts up your like, I don't want to do all that shit neither. I just need some protein. This is I don't actually know what creatine does. I need to look that up. Somebody just told me take creatine if you want to gain weight. So I guess it helps you metabolize your protein a little bit faster. Prior to working out, add 1 scoop to 4 to 6 ounces of water. Use in conjunction with an intense daily exercise program to balance diet, including an adequate caloric intake. In 9 training days, take your daily servings with your largest meals. Yeah, but like I say, I'm not exactly absolutely 100% sure what it does. Like what I know it helps you gain weight, but I'm not sure how it helps you gain weight. You know what I'm saying? Protein helps you gain weight just by building muscle mass. The bigger your muscle is, the more it's going to weigh. I think creatine actually has to do something with the actual breaking down and absorption of the protein into your muscles. Like I said, because there's only so much protein naturally your body can absorb at one time. You know what I'm saying? And most people saying it is right around 40 or 50 grams of protein that you can actually absorb into your body within a 2 hour time time span. So like those a 42-gram protein shake, if you drink two of them back to back and say, "Oh, I got 80 grams of protein," your body's not going to really benefit from 80 grams of protein because you can't break that down fast enough. So, like I say, just it's basically just eating. When you eat, you should try to eat like 5 or 6 times a day. Make sure you eat at least 8 ounces per meal. 8 ounces of food per meal, and make sure you have some protein, some starch, and a green vegetable. Almost every time you eat, protein, starch, green vegetable. Those should be your meals. Workout. I normally like to work out in the morning. I think working out in the morning is more beneficial because your testosterone levels build up overnight. So when you get up in the morning, you're already, rested and ready to go. And then just working out and stretching your muscles and pressing your muscles helps boost your testosterone levels even more. So it's like waking and bake, almost like wake and bake, except you just wait. It's wake and weights, same thing. You know what I'm saying? It gives you that energy boost and start your day off right. And I actually started doing cardio a couple weeks ago. The recovery of the muscles. Yeah, because actually how your muscles grow is you actually break the fibers in your muscle. You cause small fissions in your muscle fibers themselves, and your body repairs those small rips and tears to make your muscle stronger and more durable. So that's all you're doing. You're ripping and tearing your muscles, and then you rest and you relax. You get enough sleep, and then your body repairs that damage that has been done to the muscles, and your muscles get bigger. T-bone steak and eggs for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You don't like steak? Fuck it. Eat it anyway. I'm tired of steak. Eat that fucking steak, bitch. You want the gains or not? You will eat this fucking meat then. But I'm vegan. Psh, you're not a faggot. I gotta grab a drink right now. I'm thirsty as hell. Go grab something to drink.
Calling the world from isolation. 'Cause right now that's the ball where we betray. And if you're coming back to find me, better have good aim. Shoot it true. I need you in the pictures while I'm calling you. Lonely twin the left hand. Present myself and get back on track. I don't want this isolation. See the state of me now. Calling the hunter with the rifle. 'Cause right now that's the ball where we betray. Shoot it true. I want you in the pictures while I'm calling you. Lonely twin the left hand. Present myself and
chicken, turkey, fish. If that shit ain't chicken, turkey, fish, you not gonna eat that shit, bro. Chicken, turkey, fish. What's that, bacon? Oh, hell no. What's that, a steak? Oh, hell no. What's that, a hamburger? Oh, hell no. That motherfucker gonna eat that shit. You don't eat no red meat. I don't eat as much red meat. I love chicken, turkey, fish too. I don't eat no pork. I don't eat no pork. Like this shit. For some reason, when I read it, I thought this shit said turkey bacon. I mean, it does say turkey bacon Colby Jack, but it wasn't turkey bacon. It was turkey and bacon and Colby Jack cheese. You see that bacon? You see what that bacon is? That bacon's still in that bitch, bro. I don't eat that shit, bro. I don't eat no goddamn pork, man. I thought it was turkey bacon. It was turkey and bacon. Like, nah. It's all good. I'll eat red meat. I love a good burger, man. I love a good burger. I love a good steak. But I know, like, moderation, too. I ain't gonna eat a fucking burger and steak every goddamn day. But I will eat some Croton and Fruits chocolate. Edibles. Dark chocolate. It's gonna get me high. I like when candy gets me high. Oh yeah. That's delicious. Chocolatey. Yeah, moderation. That's all it is. Like I say, I don't eat fucking red meat every day, all day. Now there's. I had chicken for like the past 3 days. Got some chicken salad down there, some tuna salad, some salad. We call it lettuce in a bowl. Oh. Then I had some Chinese food the other day. Some chicken fried rice. Oh, and I ate my teriyaki chicken this morning. Damn, I left my teriyaki chicken sitting in here all day. As soon as I thought about teriyaki chicken, I looked, and that bitch is still sitting right there from earlier this morning. You think this shit good? It been sitting out the refrigerator for that long? This cat got a long shelf life on it. Chicken. I mean, supposed to be chicken. Cauliflower. Let me put this back where I got it from. Just in case I need some of that later. Cauliflower. I like cauliflower. I like cold broccoli better. Just raw broccoli. Oh man, like salad broccoli, which you put, just cold raw broccoli. That's my shit, yo. Damn, I love cold broccoli. Asparagus. Asparagus where it's at though, son. Probably one of my favorite vegetables is just asparagus and okra and Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts be banging. Meow. Meow. Damn, that cat tastes good. That shit tastes like teriyaki. Meow. And I like that red beans and rice, bro. That Carolina jasmine rice. Oh my God. Carolina jasmine. I ain't even gonna lie. Black eyed peas probably one of my favorite beans, yo. Black eyed peas, them red beans, lima beans, pinto beans, snow peas, field peas. I eat okra daily. Regular, slimy okra, fried okra. How you cooking it? Okra in my gumbo. I eat that shit daily. Love okra. All right, let me eat one more little piece of this cat food. Meow. You was a tough kitty, huh? Meow. Oh, you shot that cat with that bow? Here you go, mouse. Eat your enemy. This is your natural predator. He shot the hell out of that cat. And then he had to take a shower with a fucking wet nap. He just took that little wet nap and wiped his whole body off. I'm like, damn. I don't want to live in the apocalypse. The Book of Eli. That shit was good as hell. It tells you how powerful the religion is. This motherfucker went that book the whole time and got his hands on the book. And bitch can't read it because it's in Braille. It was so funny. That movie was so good, yo. So good. Damn, that's a tough pussy. Tell you, man, you gotta have them goddamn Conan the Barbarian teeth to eat this shit. My girl, when she eat a Freezy Pop, she gotta get scissors and cut the top off the Freezy. I eat a Freezy Pop. Nah, man, fuck that plastic. Tear that shit open like that. How do you do that? Bitch, you bite it. Bite it and pull it away. I can't do that. I gotta cut it. Fuck that. I got all my teeth and they strong. All my teeth. I lost my grill, yo. My gold grill. I cannot find that shit. It's gone. Had that shit for like 14 years. And now I lost it. Not bad. Okay. I'm gonna say some of this. I don't know, but for some reason, I think I might have the munchies in a little while. I'm not quite sure, but I'll be prepared for it just in case. Meow. Meow. Better save a sip of that soda just in case too. I just keep staring at this trash can. I really should go empty this shit. Matter of fact, guys, give me 2 minutes. Let me go empty this trash can because I ain't gonna be able to throw this soda bottle in there when I'm finished drinking it. Think that shit don't make no damn sense.
Isolation, 'cause right now that's the bowl where we betray. And if you're coming back to find me,
you, you little piece of shit ass bag. You gonna fucking open up the day, bitch.
I want you in the pictures when I'm calling. Presenting myself and get back on track. I don't want this isolation. See this day in midnight.
This taffy is chewy as fuck. Alright, these are my two favorite songs right here, back to back. This song right here, and then the next song, and then Lake Zurich. These shits are hot as shit, yo. I love these songs.
I'm not gonna cry. I've got more time to give. I'm not gonna cry. I just never dream. Am I capable of healing? The memory of my grace in your heart. I'm on my journey home without you alone. I think I'll coast a while. I'm not gonna cry.
I'm not getting faster at painting. You're just watching my stream more. That's all. Is that chocolate? What is that? I think I dropped chocolate on the floor, and it looks like poo. I'm hoping it's chocolate. I didn't poo in here. It ain't my poo. I ain't clean up nobody else's poo either. But yeah. People always say that a lot. Like, damn, Travis, you're painting a lot faster. I'm like, no, I'm just in the studio a lot more. It's the same amount of time. I just get it done because I'm in here a lot. And last painting took a while though, man. I worked on that last painting for like over a month almost. Yeah. The first phase. And so far in between this one, I started that one. That taffy. And there's one behind that little canvas that I started. So got a couple pieces started. Smaller canvases, as you can see, working on some smaller stuff because I do want to produce a little more faster. So sometimes I do 3 or 4 big canvases and do some medium-sized canvases just so they don't take as long. And I can price them a little bit cheaper if they're on a smaller canvas. Yeah, I spit that shit on the floor just now. What, y'all don't floss? You should only floss the teeth that you want to keep. If you don't want to keep your teeth, don't floss them motherfuckers. If you want to keep your teeth, you better floss them bitches. After every meal. And it's easy. All you gotta do is buy a pack of these floss sticks. And you can carry them with you everywhere you go. And you got that little piece of chicken in your teeth. Instead of sucking your gums for 2 hours. Tongue be tired as hell trying to get that little piece of meat out your teeth. Man, goddamn. I'm tired of hearing that goddamn noise. Why don't you just floss that bitch out, man? I almost got it. What the fuck is that? I don't know. It's a piece of chicken. Hell, I ain't ate chicken in 3 days. Damn, bitch, you had that piece of shit in your mouth for 3 days? You know your breath stink as hell. Breath smell like a old ass restaurant and bathroom. Yo, Stoney. I would tell you a price, but I don't recognize your name, so it seems like you're a new viewer. I don't want to chase you away so soon, bro. Just chill with me for a little while. Damn, this motherfucker first time coming in my stream. First thing he asks is, how much? Can we build a little bit of rapport first? A little bit of relationship? Can you get to know me a little bit before you start trying to toss me money like a cheap prostitute? What the fuck is wrong with you, man? Yo, how much? Hi, my name is Travis. It's nice to meet you. Welcome to Art and Education, where we talk about art and education. What? Cough. Cough, cough. I think I sprung an air leak. Yeah, my tire's going flat. Eric, hey, how's it going? This dude is Eric is such a straight arrow that he used his whole government name for his PlayStation profile. Hi, my name is Eric Matthew Woodrow. I live at 913 Waverly Avenue. I graduated from the high school of Chattanooga in '85, and my social security number is my wife's maiden name is Eric Matthew Woodrow. Oh, chilling. What's up, Star? This shit chilling, bro. You know what I'm saying? Same old thing. I'm just in the studio trying to make this beautiful ass art. You know what I'm saying? Thanks for joining the stream. I showed everybody. I'll show you the last couple of projects I've done. This piece right here is a little bit less than halfway through. It looks It looks like a painting, but it's actually just one layer of paint right now. Earlier today, I started applying a second layer of paint to her face. So maybe just her cheek, her ear, and just right under her eye right here actually has 2 layers of paint on it. And everything else is just the first layer. The first layer of paint is known as the underpainting. It's a foundation layer. What you see here now, you won't see it at the end of the project. I'll paint this entire canvas at least 2 or 3 times. So a lot of people will jump in for the first time seeing my stream and catch me, because I'm always working on new projects. So if you catch me midway through a project, they look kind of rough. It looks good, but it's still kind of rough. It's like, but there's that. And so, no, this piece is far, far, far from being done. And I just finished the piece a few days ago. And I'll show you that real quick. So this is my most recent completed painting here. Layer number 3, layer number 4. Oh, you seen my stream before? That's what's up. Oh, that's all you had to say was like, nigga, I done been here before. Now tell me how much you want for the painting. I want $5 million. Oh, but this shit right here is just beautiful. I mean, this shit looks better than the Mona Lisa, in my opinion. In my own personal opinion, it's better looking than the Mona Lisa. This is like some fucking Rembrandt type shit. This is some goddamn Michelangelo level shit. You know what I'm saying? This is some Louvre museum type quality right here, bro. You know what I'm saying? This right here is the truthest. The truthest. It don't get no truther than this. I mean, the hair is like hair. It's like nigga hair. I mean, black people hair. Word up. How did you do that? I'm not gonna tell you. But it's so magnificent. I'm surprised that I even painted this. I look at this piece and I'm like, yo, nigga, you did that. And I look at myself and I'm like, yeah, you're right, Trap. You did do that. That shit is stunning. That shit is amazing. That is beautiful. That's beyond beautiful. That's masterpiece. It's a masterpiece. There's no way you can't call it a masterpiece. Now that is a finished painting. Give me $5,600, I'll send that shit to you right now. Come on, man, that shit ain't even cost that much, bro. 56. Give me 56. Send me 5,600 and your address. I'll overnight that motherfucker. Matter of fact, I'll take the shipping fees out of the 5,600. You won't even have to pay for the shipping. And it'll be on your doorstep tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow. I gotta varnish it. It's mostly dry. That's dry. Nope. Nope. A little bit of black still pulling up. Can't send it nowhere just yet. Yeah, that black is still coming up, so I'll let it dry another week, and then I'll varnish it. And then I'll sell it to the first bidder for $5,600. $5,600. Oh yeah. The afro super texture, bro. I'm not rubbing that thing. I might fuck it up if I rub it. That's why they tell you in galleries, don't rub it, not touch the paintings, don't touch the art. And I hate when people be like, oh snap, like keep your fucking greasy ass fried chicken eating fingers off my fucking shit, bro. What the fuck? Did you just put some grime? Like you just got some muck on my art. What the fuck is this filth that you just left on there? Is that some kind of residue? I don't play that shit. Don't touch the art, man. When it's done, don't touch it. Oh. Magic fingers. Got the magic hands. Magic hands. Oh. This dude. Got the magic fingers. Do, 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 do. A little bit of motivation. Oh yeah. And let's get into this shit, dog. Oh snap, this motherfucker about to paint. Said, oh snap.
I'm not gonna cry. I've got more cut to give. Everybody see yourself. Everybody on time, on time. Everybody hold on. Everybody hold on to your inner vision. Everybody see yourself. Everybody on time, on time. Everybody minding. Everybody minding their own inner vision. Everybody lying. Everybody calling. Everybody on time, on time. Everybody hold on. Everybody hold on to your inner vision.
Mix a little bit of this with a little bit of this, a little bit more of this, and a little bit more of this. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh that beat. Yo, they really put that shit together on that one, yo. Damn, they really put that shit together, yo. Y'all ain't like that shit? Come on, man. Sledgehammer. Yeah, they hit me with copyrights all the time. This channel is probably gonna get shut down real soon.
Yo, the big world keep turning like Ike's and animes. The church kitchen hustling dinners every Saturday. Pull over, let me grab a plate. I tend to gravitate towards our fish dinners from a styrofoam platter taste. My granddaddy sported flat Donnie Hathaways, hustling for everything we had till he passed away. When I would ask about what path to take, he used to laugh and say, no man is an island, but I'm a castaway. Casualties, I seen them like the French Foreign Legion. On the streets, they used to carry out bizarre procedures and jean jackets and Jabbar Adidas. Back when local R&B was just as soulful as orthopedics. Me and my man twisting up some reefer and wishing we knew all the town. Hitman in the lights of Sam Christian. On the edge of existence, man, listen, understand. Respect and fear was an all-American ambition. For badass kids in the laundromat folding a load. When lo and behold, a whole nother fork in the road. My wish for them is that the truth is eventually told. Out on the corner where whatever you can sell it sold. I heard murder ran this vast deserted land. Just back when Burning Man was blacks in Birmingham. Before the presidential election diversion scam. Matter of fact, before they clapped Franz Ferdinand, you gossip on Jay and Beyonce and Kim and Kanye. But keep rising to the top, what my mind say. Picture my daughter drinking water with a sign. Say for color girl, I ain't talking Intozaki Shage. Who said a Senegal? I was a king and general, rich in every resource, precious metal and mineral. Before the devil entered the land of the plentiful, with that Jamaican funk, gotta get it in the hoop for generations. Under God, indivisible, cycle of patience. Vampires in the interview become institutionalized. What a nigga do, but what we had to do to survive, none of them could do. Who the technical culprit? I don't mess with no vultures. I'm electrical voltage, not the regular dosage. Too obsessive compulsive, I'm a fucking explosive. Mixed message in a bottle, I left with the post-it. I'm not arachnophobia, black petroleum, ceremoniously holy when at the podium. Even though it's hotter than weapons grade plutonium, the people try to check for the return of the Ichiban. Obi-Wan, universe, you owe me one salad. My homie Gonzalez, only know Gonzalez on the corner where they probably only 21. Savage, catch two in your cabbage. Young Caesar Chavez, Division 1. Yo, wait a minute, where we get our rhythm from? Continuum, still swinging like a pendulum. Hear the women come singing like Sarah Vaughan. Hurt ninth up in a house from North Carolina. Ain't no mannequin challenge, but you're paralyzed. It's getting cold outside, a word from the wise. Y'all niggas better bundle up, but I better be a hotter summer, not for nothing. Yo, the cops get down, especially when it come to us. Nigga better be a Rockefeller, get that out your pocket, fella. Saying acapella ain't a damn thing really changed as far as I can tell it. Another soul with no name, the helicopter's hunted. Look like a couple of days before the doctor coming, but that's my little cousin watching for me. I think the world trying to sock it to me. It kinda feel like everything is out of pocket for me. Who keep it 100 when everything's partial? Dignity and sanity is what the game costs you. Wake up to the paddles on your chest, we had lost you. I'm just painting a picture like Harry James Marshall. I'm just taking a picture like Harry May. We ain't so smile and say cheese, we in 2018 in a pyramid. Scheme nightmares and day dreams from the runaway slave to a modern day king. 215. Change. 21 pounds. Stereotypical, arrogant American, no prescribed medicine. I'm sick as I ever been. Rolling out of the dealership in the McLaren. These rappers is Peter Pan, I'm Pan-African. Space invader, black in them. Mixing Alexander McQueen with Hater Ackerman. Real rapture in the form of a living man. I don't give a damn, not a mortal to test me. See, I don't get examined. I'm a high priest and a wild beast. Once warrior, now chief. The mouthpiece of the foul east. And I'm a rock'em socker robot hop. I drop bombs any flow I got. Come at you like .coms, you should know I'm not. For the run of the mill drill, I'm still trill. The flamethrower, the real deal. I don't go aside with the oddness, your highness. It's with a pantheon of the gods, as I promise. I'm known for being brutally honest. If lyricism is spiritual to you, then rewind this. I'm a killer, but it ain't about the people kindness. I believe the industry about to see a conquest. Changing of the mindset, money's just a concept. Never been an object, even when my mother was living up in the project. Now my rating is high and young, rich and pride yet. Still speaking my mind, just in a different dialect. It takes two to make anthropology, the student and the studied. That being the case, it is time for the study to examine the student and to evaluate its own. I said, I've seen it all and had it all, and I ain't mad at all. This rapper talks, gravitas like a cannonball, staying up all night, throwing my sleep pattern on. I need a doctor on, call a key Adderall. Position on my commission is trilateral. You fucking with me, you tripping for trying that at all. I mess around, make a call, get the gat involved. I know people, this is a small world after all. My credit card say it's all world at the mall. My broad looking like she's Cinderella at the ball. Reborn every January like a Capricorn. From downtown, no Ryan Lewis and Macklemore. It's yours truly, I'm Paul Mooney, I'm George Clooney. I'm fully immersed in the craft, bringing awards to me. The bass player said he gon' sue me. I gave a finger to him, the Lord gave a round of applause to me. My soul winning, I've been gold tinted. Cold sending, stroll pinning, nigga gone till it's no limit. The vision came to me so vivid. My observation wasn't money for the taking, I'ma go and get it. Y'all know my everyday lay no costume. I murk rappers and they can't play no possum. Another studio, but it's the same old outcome. I told my niggas fall vicious, baby, we got one. Listen, accurate scholarship and free dedicated artists will reveal a singularly important thing. Racism was and is not only a mark of ignorance, it was and is a monumental fraud. Let the planets align. Spent 10K in the car, didn't decline. Bartender, one Casamigos Salam. I'm celebrating gracefully, getting better with time. I ain't even halfway through this incredible ride, but like, I'm kinda doing an incredible job. When I was 18, living beyond my means, I was afraid of my dreams. Looking at the finer things, wishing I could flip to a microchip, from a paperclip, upgrade to a spaceship, from a basic whip. Cash rules everything, I just wanted a taste of it. Fast food, hurrying, saving time and wasting it. Self-saboteur speaking into my paramour. Torch rappers like I'm igniting the aerosol. Maintaining the wherewithal that embarrass y'all. Game changer the way I shredded your cabbage off. Explaining this changing apple for applesauce. When we were young, innocence was ours, but that was lost. Where I reside is the dark side of the glory. The fury I manipulate is the arc of the story. Written without a ghost writer, the author it for me. This is crime and punishment, I'm the judge and the jury. Listen, Dostoevsky.
I swam with crocs, fish with sharks. May never pop charts, but I know I'm popular. I was built to run the game, I came up playing guard. With young niggas between 5'5" and 6'4". I banked over both, trying to bank over some more and ball out in something gorgeous that'll keep me in court. Where they'll judge like y'all does, y'all don't know me enough. Y'all still owe us what y'all all did to the cold crush. To my donuts, I'm shooting J dealers or what? I want a cop when I can loot and recruit. I had to go through hella doors, so in short, that's why I only want two. But I ain't got J number, I CC him the proof. Cause everything I pictured in my head is always coming true. They say you need vision to see eye to eye with the Jews. Spent 2,500 on sheepskin, let it seep in. I ain't turning star boy in a weekend. It took more like 7 years. Make a sane man drink Everclear. It ain't ever clear if we ever guarantee the year. Fruits of your labor, huh? You work hard to get it. Jammer stitched on the motherfucking rock fitted. Before the big lights, I had to start with a scrimmage. Know it comes sooner or later. I'm Trey Young, nigga. Huh? I'm Trey Young, nigga.
Chefsky meets Joe Pesci. Tired of staring at a glass half empty. Turning me from Dr. Sebi to cock and semi. It got me clutching my machete from the Serengeti already. Wild styles and Fab Five Freddy. I'm a stranger in Moscow. Don't ask how deadly it's the Uma. Patrice Lumumba, Kwame Nkrumah. To the Tripoli shore from the halls of Montezuma. Stop intruder. I'm built on facts. I'm not your rumor. A malignant tumor. Slid through in a suede puma. The steady, heavy, legendary. All praises overdue. St. Clark is a chosen few. Rap noble Drew. I guarantee you no more music by the suckers. It's not a victimless crime if anybody suffers. And a system that was designed for them to try to cuff us. But what's the use of them trying when can't nobody touch us? Unless it's fabricated, probably drug related. But love or hate it, I will not be subjugated. When it's screaming you the greatest that did it was underrated. As if every other player who spit it was unrelated. If every man's a temple, the circumstance is simple. So to be transcendental, I do enhance the mental. This is elder statesman conversation. Take a look into them books from down in the basement. Yeah.
Down in the basement.
Outer space, the place that I'm parking in. My marketing, when you see the sky darkening. Rhyme artisan, from the crudest bipartisan. High haters, a fifth grader, you're not smarter than. Alpha and Omega, you betas, I march harder than. Batteries, y'all ain't included, you're not part of it. I just took a flight to France to cop cardigans at Limevine. I'm that prime time, bougie buying time. And I'm just trying to get it on till I die. Am I wrong if I'm living like the laws don't apply? Making music out of nothing, know that boys bonafide. It's disturbing when the murderer enjoys homicide. Talented Mr. Try to Squad, beyond qualified. Multiplying a dollar sign. The grind is real, it's Palestine. My sidekick came from Columbine. That fly shit came from Sonoran. Surprise, bitch, I never lived a false moment in time. Riddle me what kind of omen am I? You know the slogan is right. I said a weapon should be chosen to fire. Only the ghetto Beethoven replied. The ninth wonder maker, thunderbreaker, send these toys to the Undertaker. My pen smoking like a rude boy from Jamaica, while I'm erasing every fuck boy from the face of the earth. What's up, boys? Time for you to get your weight up. Yo, I probably began in the Rift Valley in places untraceable by Ram McNally. Took a cobblestone trolley through a Mercy Street alley to more championship rings than John Sally. Biochemically on par with Salvador Dali. I traveled to Tijuana and smacked the Federale who packing avocado toast like Mario Batali. I'm an ocean without a coast. Going back to Cali, nigga. Name some other body equally as ill. Frequently I see the drama. Call me Cecil B. DeMille. Not a chick up in the armor though, I'm lethally for real. People been telling me recently, Tariq, you need to chill. But picture that, the diplomat, pistol slap aristocrats. Any rapper coming for me, I'ma send a missile back. Not too many legends got a legacy that's this attack. That equipment I'm gripping kept where the ammunition at. Sold Makosa like a model to Bongo. While as the Democratic Republic of the Congo, I'm Hunter S. Thompson, doing it gonzo. A rapper winds up as a John Doe. I told niggas, 60 seconds to shine before I fold niggas. I must be out of my mind with it. Gold diggers, here come the general for the quad centennial. I'm a non-millennial when I reference the old niggas.
Let's meet at the crossroads of torsos and learn some things only the Lord knows. Break the law, it's the only law now Lord knows. Got pies in the oven but no DiGiorno's. We all got fucked but no pornos. We ain't growing corn but got cornrows. We ain't playing greens but we be spending it. Lifespan is short, try extending it. If you ain't in the beat then I'm recommending it. I'm reading Carter G with someone I'm in the woods. When the money's cut off when we bought the goods. A lot of niggas is cowards and ran out of fatherhood. Should we kill him or let him live? I don't fuck with no suckers that never did. Me and more, if you want more. If I ever go to wars, the kids I do it for. I eat MCs, they can send me a few of y'all. And by a few I mean way more than two. You can time snap by 20 and tell them to come through. And watch them get beat like the African drums do. Oh so, probably get lessons to Sun Tzu. Lyrically, I'm Bruce Lee, master of Kung Fu. Rhyming with black thought, possessing a black thought. I told you that I'm conscious, but bitch, you a clap off. I'ma be the one that they holding a rap off. I ain't rap too tight, my nigga a snap off. Or maybe a snap on. When I go for the ride, my nigga the latch on. I'm Hannibal, on a Detroit. I've been places you never been. Could close my eyes, I could die, I get wise. Treat my life like a script, I'm getting it revised. Used to keep the big joint right up in the Levi's. I'm the 10th wonder, I told them to ask ninth. I'm the other Black Thought, the last airbender. Avatar Ghost, the one who could bend time, the one who could bend rhymes, the one who could bend flows. Reppin' for old niggas, little nigga, you know. We the ones who made making of a murderer. Fuck around, you could be in making of a murder. Ghost.
Fuck around and you can be making a murderer.
Thanks to the memories, for first and third of the month check deliveries. Agencies in the early 80s for giving cheese to families with parents who had drug dependencies. Mass kids and storefront ministries. Dinners from the chicken lady, Miss Genevieve. For every lesson I received as I live and breathe, and all the blessings I believed in and didn't achieve. Thanks to my moms for never getting rid of me. And to my lady baby, thank you for forgiving me. I climbed from the lower level to the mezzanine. Honestly, I really want to say thanks for everything. Images of strange fruits hanging from the trees. Laces on my gym shoes, skating from police. Kids playing on the stoops wearing dungarees. Unbeknownst to them, they living in the cities under siege. Two Sierra Leoneans and the Senegalese. Honey and lemon teas, sincere sympathies. The power of positive energy as opposed to hatred as a motivator. Thank you to my enemies from Memphis, Tennessee, and kitchen chemistry. Atomic centipede, Heineken and Hennessy. The barbershop that used to be a Six and Emily. For all the history and all you did for me. Thank you.
It's such a blessing to know you, blessing to know you. I love my lesson, why would I hurt you? Don't wanna hurt you. I wanna thank you for giving me, thank you for giving me love. I wanna thank you for giving me love.
Places that I've known, many of which I've outgrown. Thanks for the ride home. Some motherfuckers tried to make me give us mine to 'em. Thank goodness for my decent aim, but one eye closed. Gangsters and fly holes, freaks and sideshows. Mistakes I made in the past that only God knows. Usually my preference would be to travel the high roads. Sometimes I stray from the path, that's no surprise though. I had to use this expression of my gratitude, that my attitude didn't limit my latitude. In cases when I had to do what I had to do, even though I was spazzing, boy, I wasn't mad at you. This unbroken token of appreciation for frequencies and stations, not keeping the people waiting. For players who support and remaining completely patient. And each and every record in the basement. Listen, thank you.
I'm sweating right now. I'm in my apartment. Somebody called the cops on me in my own building. Can't go nowhere without the cops following me. You know how it is.
Moved back to my city. It's Friday night. I'm about to go outside and start moving things into the building. I'm gonna make sure I'm not too loud. I'm not dumping. I was cognizant of that. I'm like, I'm not gonna make a bunch of noise here.
So what exactly happened?
So I was about halfway through my move. I'm tired. You know, I'm moving boxes up and down. I get into the lobby and I look at the door and I see blue and white, I see police. I look to my left, I look to my right, and I look inside, I'm like, they're here for me.
What's the problem? I live here. I'm going to do an investigation further. What are you guys investigating? Listen.
They immediately start asking me, who are you? What are you doing here? Then they play the dispatch. You know, responding to someone banging on doors, has a weapon on them.
We doing our job, that's it. Who called you? If you do nothing wrong, you good to go. Who called you? Someone called us.
This was somebody in the building who did not want me there. People don't realize the consequences of their actions. When you profile and you act on that profiling, you're reporting a crime. I'm reporting a crime that may not be in process. The only crime that you saw...
Your crime was living while black.
Living while black. In this case, moving while black.
Welcome back. So many of these incidents start with one simple phone call to the police, which is presumably there to protect and serve.
But in a world where folks are encouraged to say something, if they see something, the question is, when should people call the cops?
With us now is Larry Krasner, the district attorney for Philadelphia. Also, Philip Atiba Goff, professor in policing equity at John Jay College of Criminal Justice, and Tim Wise, an anti-racist educator and the author of the forthcoming book, White Lies, or White Lies Matter, Race, Crime, and the Politics of Fear in America. Now, we're hearing plenty of stories about everyday racism from the perspective of the black experience. But these interactions actually have two parties. Filmmaker Whitney Dow has been exploring these issues in a documentary series called The Whiteness Project, in which he talks to white Americans about race.
I think about race a lot. I do feel a common bond with other white people because that's primarily who I find myself being around.
I feel more comfortable around more people my race. I hate that it's like that, but it is. I think it's a lot, we're more comfortable around each other because it doesn't seem, and I may be wrong, it doesn't seem that there's as many whites that are out doing crimes and murdering and causing trouble and doing a lot of those things.
And filmmaker Whitney Dow joins us now. And Whitney, I wonder if you could talk about the process of getting white people, frankly, to talk about race and how you get them comfortable enough to be open and honest about issues of race and racial bias.
I think white people are desperate to talk about race. I think white people don't know how to have that conversation. And when you create an environment where they can actually talk honestly about it and talk about how they feel, how they that they really want to have the conversation.
Yeah, and I'm wondering how much of the way that they react to people of color is rooted in sort of, in your view, misinformation. You heard the last guy say, well, you know, black people are committing the crimes, right? And how much of it is sort of learned behavior, and in your view, how much of it is outright bias?
Well, I mean, I think there's an incredible amount of fear, and I think there's a lot of outright bias. But actually, I've been thinking a lot about this. I think that I just came back from Wyoming, where I spent about a week interviewing 50 white people and partially white people talking about their experience living in an almost all-white community. But I think that what is really interesting to me is that they're in a community where there's almost no people of color, and all the information they get is from the media. So the media, they're seeing over and over again these images. And one of the things I've been thinking a lot about is that all these videos that have come out showing police attacking people of color, and that have kind of finally let white people understand and see in reality how black people experience the police, but they're also doing something else. They're also showing on a loop black people involved with the police. And for a certain segment of society, that actually triggers them and says, look, this is actually true, that black people have more interactions with police than white people.
You were just shaking your head, Philip. I mean, you do this work with police departments around trying to get officers to think in a sort of different way, and with people in general about when they're calling the cops.
No, that's exactly right, and Whitney is exactly right. Some of the benefit of exposure here is that it's waking America up to what black communities have been dealing with since black communities have been communities in the United States. But he's also right that the learned association of black plus police plus black plus police, that's how you form implicit biases, right? And absolutely, when they go unchecked, implicit biases become explicit action.
Can you? I'm curious to hear from you. You're the district attorney here in Philadelphia. You're doing something very interesting. You ran on a reform agenda. You're trying to sort of transform the vision for what that office of prosecutor looks like. What's the answer to the question of when someone should call the cops?
You know, the difficulty is that as people feel suspicion, they're tapping into their biases, and it is not a situation in which most people have no bias. The truth is we're constantly bombarded with bias, with prejudice. It's almost like fighting germs to try to keep these away from us. It takes a certain amount of work. So the difficulty is when you have a society, as we do, which has an incredibly high level of incarceration, extreme involvement of police in fairly everyday things, and unfortunately, to their detriment, a lot of police have become the first responders for mental health issues, for family disputes. You know, it used to be that if there was a fight in a schoolyard, this was a disciplinary matter, and that turned into a school-to-prison pipeline. Well, in the same way, just normal disagreements and disputes and curiosities in society have turned into individuals making phone calls because, frankly, they find the race of the person they're watching to be inherently suspicious. So it's a problem, and it does require the participation of everyone, not to tap into their biases and to look at what's really happening.
Yeah, and Tim, for a lot of Black people, the idea of the police is, quite frankly, intimidating, frightening. The idea of calling the cops on someone is sort of an almost threatening, right? But for white Americans who are comfortable with the police, it seems like a problem. It seems like a solution to this person who shouldn't be here.
I like how you look at me like I'm comfortable with police. You know me better than that.
I do.
Well, here's the thing. White America has been raised to believe, A, the police are always the good guys, and frankly, that Black lives matter less than white comfort. And until we deal with that, until we deal with the reality, because here's the problem. When a white person calls the police on a person of color over a barbecue in a park, sleeping in a common room at Yale, sitting at the Starbucks or whatever it is, knowing that Tamir Rice's life was snuffed because someone called the cops on a 12-year-old boy playing with a toy gun. Something that white boys do all across this country without fear of being shot. And that's a national story. You can't tell me you didn't know that happened. When John Crawford is called, the cops called on him at the Walmart, also in the state of Ohio, not to pick on Ohio, and he's standing there with an air rifle that he pulled off the shelf at Walmart. He's talking to his girlfriend or whatever, and the cops are called on him. They come, they shoot him. When you know that is what happens, what you are saying is, my discomfort with you right now is worth more than the potential that your life could be snuffed in 10 minutes. Until that stops, nothing is going to change.
Part of the sort of common theme here in a lot of these stories, you come upon someone napping in a common room, it's like, you can just talk to the person. Like, you don't have to, the discomfort is so intense, right? The discomfort is so intense that rather than be like, hey, what's up? Like, to whoever you want to have a conversation with, you're going to call 911, an emergency line, to report something.
That's exactly so. So one of the things that I will never forget about one of the first conversations I had with the police chief was the thing that would make my job so much easier is if everybody just took social relations classes. Because almost 90% of the things that my officers are getting called for are things that you could just go up and have a conversation if you weren't so scared of your neighbors. And the rest of it, right, that causes so much terror amongst the community is stuff that police could never be trained for, right? So the chief that was telling me this, right, former chief in Salt Lake City says, you shouldn't call me and my officers unless you want an armed response. Because while we get training in mental health, we get training in substance abuse, we get training in family planning, we are also trained in deadly force. If you don't want it, then don't call for it.
And you also have the issue of police officers who exhibit fear toward the people that they're stopping, the Philando Castillo case. So I wonder why there isn't some sort of legal prohibition against a nuisance call, calling the police for something that isn't a crime.
Right.
It's a really good idea. Although we have to admit, the nature of criminal prosecution is intentional acts, and an awful lot of what we're talking about is ingrained bias. It is prejudice that is breathed in and just seems to express itself in these ways. But fundamentally, you are talking about a society in which there is an incredibly high level of suspicion and a willingness to subject someone who is other, and that could very well be a mentally ill person or a person of color or someone who is in any other way presumed to be, threatening because of youth or whatever it may be. You're subjecting them to incredible dangers in a militarized police system.
Well, and there's also the fact that there is a policing model in this country, and it started with broken windows policing in New York City in the 1990s. It spread everywhere. which is that part of policing is quality of life, right? And quality of life is, I feel uncomfortable.
Right.
That's the definition of quality of life. I mean, literally, and your office and the offices of district attorneys around this country are processing thousands and thousands and thousands of people a day who are doing things like breakdancing on the subway or selling M&Ms or something like that.
Well, fortunately, fewer here than some other places, but yes, there's no question that a lot of what has been done traditionally is that kind of prosecution. It's the little stuff. It tends to be something that picks on people who are in poorer neighborhoods, often black and brown. It tends to be ignoring massive crimes committed at a white-collar level by prosperous people and by corporations. That is the nature, unfortunately, of what prosecutors have done for a long time, is that they have been the face of a government that is going to treat certain people a bad way.
Yeah, and I do have to ask before we go to break, but Tim, because how much of this is also about gentrification? Because we've had issues where a neighborhood where somebody who would have been familiar to the residents now is unfamiliar to people who've moved in and now are uncomfortable in the process.
Right, well, the irony is the gentrifiers of today, their parents or their grandparents ran away from the city to get away from black and brown folk. And now their children and their grandchildren are saying, oh, the suburbs, there's only so many Olive Gardens I can go to, so I need to go back to the city and get my life in the city. But when I do that, I need to have my hot yoga studio and my pottery studio and my stuff represented. And if you intrude on that, I will then call the police. This is all part of a larger problem. We cannot solve it just in the prosecutor's offices. We have to look at it as a housing issue, an education issue, all of that.
So, Tim Adolph and Larry Krasner, thank you both, Tim. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, and much more from Philadelphia coming up, including what is the path forward?
I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me.
The Daytona race in July is the fun Daytona race. Round, round, get around, I get around.
Tomorrow, the NRA is planning to hold a major news conference here in Washington, D.C. in response to the shooting massacre in Connecticut last Friday. In a statement released on Tuesday, the NRA said it is, quote, prepared to offer meaningful contributions to make sure this never happens again. Of course, last Friday's tragedy wasn't America's first school shooting. Since Columbine in 1999, there have been 31 school shootings in the United States. And after each of those shootings, families grieved, a nation mourned, and the NRA did nothing. Since 1999, the NRA has had 30 opportunities to take a stand against senseless gun violence that plagues this nation, but in each case they have chosen not to. Instead, the NRA has spent millions and millions of dollars lobbying Washington politicians to keep gun loopholes open and to quash any type of gun control legislation. So what can we really expect from tomorrow's major news conference? Well, a growing number of politicians on both sides of the aisle are finally calling for tougher gun controls. The NRA can't really afford to do nothing and sit idly by. However, don't expect any major policy shifts on their part. Maybe they'll support tougher background checks for potential gun owners or support requiring mental health checkups before purchasing a gun. They may even support an incredibly watered-down assault rifle ban. But at the end of the day tomorrow, assuming the world lives to see another day and the Mayans are wrong, the NRA will still put being able to hunt humans with military-grade weapons first on their list. Since the shooting massacre in Connecticut, debates have heated up across the country on gun control, mental health services, and the level of violence in our culture in general. But as those debates are going on, one very important characteristic of mass murders in this country is being overlooked. In 31 of the school shootings that have taken
the slaughter in Las Vegas underscores something we'd rather not face, but is true. Mass shootings will continue to happen in the United States. American exceptionalism is a real thing. I've spent a lot of my life outside my home country, and the more I've seen and admired elsewhere, the more I've also appreciated the energy, the possibility, and the inclusive promise that is America at its best. But I also know the very worst of American exceptionalism, which is what the world is seeing now in Las Vegas. It has seen before in Newtown, and Aurora, and Charleston, and Oak Creek, and Orlando, and San Bernardino. Scores are dead, hundreds are injured, thousands of families and communities are forever changed. Politicians offer their thoughts and prayers and support, but not their actions to change our implicit decision to let mass shootings go on. And it is a decision because every other advanced society on earth has chosen to deal with this threat rather than to grieve momentarily and to turn away. Every country has disturbed and angry people. Many have hunting and hobbyist cultures. But no advanced society except this one keeps having gun massacres. Australia had one in 1996, its Port Arthur massacre. Then its conservative government applied a variety of moderate controls, especially on assault weapons. It has not had a gun massacre since. Scotland had its Dunblane massacre that same year.
Everything that you have been told about mass shooters and mental illness is wrong. You have been told that in order to prevent these shootings, we have to do something about mental illness. The implication being that only a mentally ill person would commit such an atrocity. But I'm going to explain why this assumption is wrong. Most mass shooters do not meet the court standard for criminal insanity, nor do they meet any particular diagnostic criteria for mental illness. And to assume that they are all mentally ill stigmatizes genuinely mentally ill people. People who are already inappropriately feared, poorly served by our medical community, and subject to violence, homelessness, and social isolation. And finally, I will explain why making this assumption undermines our ability to genuinely understand why these shootings occur. So let me begin by explaining what criminal mental illness is. This is Daniel McNaughton. In 1843 London, McNaughton shot the Prime Minister's personal secretary, believing him to be the Prime Minister himself. He acted on a long-standing delusion that the Tories were following him and endangering his life. England, like the United States, believes that in order to be truly guilty of a crime, you have to autonomously choose to commit it, hence the standard that carries McNaughton's name. The McNaughton standard asks the question, did the defendant know that the act was wrong at the time in which it was committed? And if the answer to that question is no, then they cannot be held criminally responsible. Not every state in the United States has a version of the insanity defense, but those that do use some version of this standard. Some additionally recognize that knowledge of wrongfulness itself is not sufficient, that one can know that something is wrong, but be so out of touch with reality that they are not able to control their behavior. Let me be clear. Most of the shooters that you have heard about on the news, those with household names like Eric Harris, Chris Harper Mercer, James Holmes, or Dylan Roof, were not compelled by mental illness to open fire in a classroom, a movie theater, a church, or a parking lot. These men were not out of touch with reality. They knew what they were doing, they made a choice to act, and they could have made a different decision. The McNaughton rule is rigorous. It is only claimed in approximately 1% of all criminal trials, and it's only successful about 25% of the time. This is to say that our courts rarely find it to be the case that people commit terrible acts because they're mentally ill. And frankly, we don't believe that either. We don't automatically assume that people who beat their children or kill their neighbors or commit armed robberies do so because they are mentally ill. For example, nobody believes that this man, his name is Bernie Madoff, acted as he did, which is bankrupting elderly people and children's charities, literally taking money away from kids with cancer because he was unable to control his actions. Mass shooters are in this situation. They are able to control their actions. And when pundits and politicians insist that when it comes to a mass shooting, they must be caused by mental illness, what it does is stigmatizes mentally ill people. We don't think about our children, our neighbors, our siblings, or ourselves. Our minds do not turn to the people that we know and love who suffer from depression or anxiety or PTSD. Our minds do not turn to the 45 million Americans who suffer from some form or another of mental illness. Instead, our minds turn to a tiny minority, that is, people who are actively mentally ill. And it's not this number of 11 million adults. It's a much smaller, tiny minority of those people who are actively psychotic, who are subject to delusions and hallucinations. Our minds turn to the homeless people that we have seen speaking to invisible companions. They turn to people that we're already afraid of. They turn to people who are crazy, that we call crazy. They turn to people that we believe to be dangerous and out of control. What you don't know is that mentally ill people, and in particularly severely mentally ill people, are far, far more likely to be victims rather than perpetrators of violence. What you don't know is that less than 5% of all violent crimes are committed by people with a mental illness. You don't know that most mentally ill people are not violent, and most violence is not committed by persons with a mental illness. Most mass shooters plan their crimes far in advance. Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold meticulously planned the Columbine massacre for a full year before committing it. Chris Harper Mercer posted his intentions and sought advice from a community on social media about how best to carry out his attack, in which he killed 9 of his classmates in an Oregon community college. Dylan Roof, the Charleston church shooter, also posted his intentions and sought advice from his community of white supremacists. If we want to get at the problem of mass shootings, we need to stop blaming them on people with mental illnesses and ask harder, deeper questions about our conceptions of masculinity and entitlement, about these young men who act as pseudo-commandos. And that is as people who kill in public during the day. They come armed with an arsenal of weapons and ammunition. They brag about what they're intending to do, and they want to kill as many people as possible. Pseudo-commandos are not driven by mental illness. They're driven by anger and resentment. This is a quote from Dylan Klebold to one of the victims at Columbine who he permitted to live. The quote is, "We've always wanted to do this. We've dreamed of doing it for years. This is for all the shit that you put us through, and this is what you deserve." That is not someone speaking from mental illness. That is someone speaking from anger and resentment. There's even a community of sorts that sprung up on the internet to support those who feel aggrieved and entitled, who feel as though they are not getting what they deserve from society in general, and from women in particular. And I so wanted to introduce you to their mascot. They have their own mascot. His name is Pepe the Frog, and Pepe dresses up in different outfits and carries a gun. The Beta Rebellion, Betas consider themselves a revolutionary alliance of men who are not found attractive by women. A number of mass shooters, of recent mass shooters, Chris Harper Mercer being among them, another shooter, Elliot Rogers, the Ista Vista killer, consulted a website called 4chan. They considered themselves betas, and they posted their intentions in advance to get advice from other betas. For example, Chris Harper Mercer, an anonymous poster, gave him this advice. I suggest that you enter a classroom and that you put everyone in a corner and tell them that you're going to hold them hostage, and then you open fire on them. That is not a person who is mentally ill or driven by a hallucination or a delusion. That is a person who collected a community of support. So I'm going to end with a message worth hearing, and that is that blaming mentally ill people for mass shootings is very comforting. It allows us to believe that they are not like us, that they are not normal, even though we know that normal people are the ones who commit 95% of all violent acts. It also permits us to avoid difficult political and social reforms because, you know, there's only so much you can do to fix crazy. But the problem is this comfort comes at a tremendous cost. It stigmatizes an already stigmatized and marginal group. But more importantly, it prevents us from answering the gentle question, why would a sane person commit such an act? Thank you.
After the tragic Parkland, Florida high school shooting that left 17 people dead and another 14 injured, there are questions about mental health, there are questions about gun control, and there are questions about safety in schools. But we should also talk about the one thing 19-year-old Nicholas Cruz, who authorities say confessed to the killings, had in common with all but 3 of the mass shooters in the past 36 years. He was a man. As Harper's Bazaar writer Jennifer Wright pointed out February 16th, Cruz is yet another example of how male aggression can manifest itself in deadly ways. Note, for example, in seemingly random school shootings, sociologist Catherine Newman told Live Science that status tends to be an issue for perpetrators. In what that article describes as a typical school shooting, where the shooter is part of the school community, all of the perpetrators have been male. In a spreadsheet compiled by Mother Jones, details are offered on mass shootings beginning in 1982, when a junior high school teacher shot and killed 8 people in a Miami welding shop. That list, which looks at cases in which 3 or more people were killed through 2012, or 4 or more after 2013, includes only 3 female perpetrators. In general, women kill far less than men do. Live Science reports they're responsible for between 10 and 13% of U.S. homicides. In a New York Times study of mass shooting, which it defined as those that killed 4 or more people between 2009 and mid-2015, domestic violence was a common thread. In the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando, Florida, the perpetrator was Omar Mateen, a man whose ex-wife said he abused her. As the New York Times wrote, in 57% of the cases, the victims included a current or former intimate partner or family member of the attacker. Half of all victims were women. Nearly a third of mass shootings have taken place in workplaces by an angry, typically male former employee, according to The Guardian. Like in the 1986 Oklahoma post office shooting, which happened after a male employee received a negative review. That shooting was followed by other post office shootings of the 1990s. And as Wright with Harper's Bazaar points out, the concern over mental health issues does not correlate to the killings. The National Survey on Drug Use and Health reported in 2012 that 23% of women have a diagnosable mental illness. Only 16.8% of men do. So what's the difference between men and women? Some researchers point to the gender gap in violence, a result of evolution rewarding men for aggression. Others note how often sexual frustration is evident in the writings in social media and words of male killers. In the 1991 shooting at a Luby's cafeteria in Killeen, Texas, George Hennard Jr., who killed 23 people, was reportedly heard yelling, "Is it all worth it? What they have done to me in Texas? All women of Killeen and Belton are vipers." Elliot Rogers, who shot and killed 7 people near the University of California, Santa Barbara, preemptively called the 2014 rampage his day of retribution in a YouTube video. He reportedly could be seen recounting his frustrations, saying, "I've been forced to endure an existence of loneliness, rejection, and unfulfilled desires, all because girls have never been attracted to me. Girls gave their affection and sex and love to other men, never to me." Solving America's mass shooting problem, and make no mistake, there is definitely one, will not just be about fixing legislative loopholes or finding funds to address a mental health crisis. Instead, it will require a little bit of everything. Call your legislators, vote for the people who uphold your values, think seriously about what it will take and what it will cost to get help to the people who need it. But also remember that we need to be raising our next generation of men to know that what makes a strong man isn't a gun in his waistband and a woman around his arm.
Now that the March for Our Lives has ended, the conversation is turning to the future, particularly ways in which we can end the epidemic of gun violence in the United States. When you look at some of the deadliest mass shootings in American history, one fact becomes abundantly clear. The shooter is almost always a man. 94% of all mass shootings are committed by men, including most of the deadliest shootings in recent American history, starting with the Las Vegas concert shooting, the deadliest mass shooting in modern history. It left 58 people dead. The 2016 Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando, 49 people died. The shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut killed 27, including more than a dozen children. Last year's shooting at a church in Sutherland Springs, Texas, the deadliest American shooting in a place of worship, left 26 people dead. And of course, there was last month's shooting at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. 17 students and adults were killed. In fact, only one of the top 10 deadliest shootings in modern U.S. history involved a woman. That was the shooting in San Bernardino, California, which was perpetrated by a husband and wife. 14 people died. So what's happening to our boys, and how can we help them? Well, my colleague Stephanie Rule sat down.
It's crazy that white is so normal that she can say it happens to men, what's going on with our boys, and the assumption is there that she's talking about white people. That's why they don't have to say it. 94% of mass shooters are white men, not just men. You don't see a bunch of Indians and, I'm talking about in the United States now, Arabs and black dudes and Spanish dudes going around doing this shit. You don't see some Spanish motherfuckers going shooting up their high school, or some black dude running up in a white church killing 27 people. We just don't do that shit. But it's so weird that she doesn't have to signify a race when she talks about this type of violence. But any other, if it's another ethnic group, they're going to definitely include what race it was. But it's weird, like this whole time, and especially it got to the point where she said, what's going on with our boys? Our boys.
School in Parkland, Florida, 17 students and adults were killed. In fact, Only one of the top 10 deadliest shootings in modern U.S. history involved a woman. That was the shooting in San Bernardino, California, which was perpetrated by a husband and wife. 14 people died. So what's happening to our boys and how can we help them? Well, my colleague Stephanie Rule sat down with a group of young men to explore the pressures of masculinity and why some eventually turn to violence.
If you want to be man enough, you don't cry.
You can't show pain. You can't show upset.
Man up, dominate, turn it all off.
Emotional struggle. A fact of life boys find obvious, but it's largely gone ignored. Until recently, tragedy forced the conversation.
When the Parkland shooting happened, I just felt so sad because we've been living with this time and time and time again.
Michael Ian Black, a comedian and writer, penned an op-ed for the New York Times that went viral, pointing out the common thread among most mass shootings.
Boys are the ones who are committing these crimes. Boys are the ones who are pulling the trigger. And I wanted to raise the question, what's going on with the boys?
The statistics confirm the concerns. 1 in 4 boys are bullied. Only 30% tell an adult. Boys are 4 times more likely to be expelled from school than girls. The suicide rate is 4 times higher for males. And yes, 94% of mass shootings are committed by males.
Most boys are going to grow up and never ever commit acts of violence like this. But I feel confident in saying most boys would also rather starve to death in their homes than ask their girlfriend for help in their driveway. This rigid model of masculinity is killing us.
We brought together a group of young men to give us their take on the emotional well-being of boys today.
They've been told to man up. What does that mean?
No clue. I understand my emotion.
Yeah. What's the hardest part about growing up for boys?
Hiding the pain.
Yeah. Not being able to express yourself kind of makes you feel trapped almost because it's like you have nowhere to go.
I have sons who don't want to open up to me. Why would you do the, I'm fine, it's okay?
It's easier.
Why is it easier? You're hurting inside.
You're succeeding as a guy. You are doing the right thing.
We were taught at a really young age, don't cry, have no fear. You're like, okay, if I get through this, people will go, wow, that guy's really strong, he's tough.
The violence starts, the suicide starts, the depression starts, all about the same time that we ask boys to man up.
Dr. Niobe Way is a professor of developmental psychology at NYU, focused on adolescence.
Not needing other people. That is at the root of masculinity. And if you look at all the school shooters, including the one at Parkland, every single one of them has said in some way that they feel desperate for connection.
So there was this one time I was with my friend, he just looked at me, started crying. And I really had no idea what to do because I'd never had anybody, any guy at least, express his just emotions towards me. He just said, I think I just need a hug, and I hugged him, and afterwards, we both looked at each other and we're like, we're never gonna say anything to anyone.
When you cry, does it make you feel like a failure?
Oh, there's that sense of sitting there going, why am I crying? I shouldn't be crying about this.
Because it's normal.
I understand that it is normal, but it is not normal at the same time. That's the best way I can put it. And they all laugh because they know exactly what I'm talking about. It is normal, but it isn't normal. It is human, but it is not man.
When you see these terrible headlines about gun violence, or when you see numbers of suicides going up, do you guys understand it?
100%.
Tell me why.
For people who aren't part of the normal guy group, they're both isolated from the other guys and often isolated from the girls around them.
How come these horrible school shooting incidents, it's always a guy, why is it ever a girl?
I don't think it ever will be a girl because girls will express their feelings and they will get it out.
Girls are able to have more acceptable outlets than guys.
How can we make things easier for you?
Get rid of the old stereotypes that we have in our society of a manly figure.
I think that starts with kids and teach them about expressing yourself without viewing as a wrong. I guess it's up to me to take that first step, hope that somebody is right behind me, and continue taking the second.
Steps a new generation hopes can help protect their own future. Stephanie Rule, New York.
Hey
there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the video...
Out of all these talks, man, nobody is really getting to the real meat, the real psychological disorder that's going on in the community where these young white boys are committing mass shootings.
Hello, welcome to Health Talk. I'm Dr. Manny. Mass murders are becoming all too common in America. According to the Congressional Research Service, there has been 66 mass shootings in the U.S. between 1999 and 2013. Tragedies that left 547 innocent people dead. The most recent shooting at a Texas church, shooter Devin Patrick Kelly was known to be mentally unstable. But what drives people like Kelly to kill strangers wholesale in a seemingly senseless way? What's the psychology behind mass shootings? Psychotherapist Dr. Robert Ludwig and psychologist Catherine Smerling are joining me today to talk about just that. Very sad day. I don't know. I can't remember a time in the U.S. where, these mass killings just come every other week. Mm-hmm. But let's talk about the Texas shooter. What's your take on his mental state?
Well, clearly, he was a very violent, volatile man who had a mental health history. And he's somebody who was not treated. The proper interventions were not made. Mm-hmm. So his anger and rage spiraled way out of control. There's an interesting new...
Now, didn't the other lady just tell y'all to be aware of these motherfuckers when they say, oh, he had mental issues, he was unstable? That's a bunch of fucking bullshit. The motherfucker's not seeing ghosts and he's not hearing Jesus talk to him. He's not fucking crazy. Motherfucker knew what he was doing.
Recent study that was not the case when I was writing my book on marital homicide, where there's a connection between domestic abusers and mass shootings. Wow. Mm-hmm. And so we should really start to look at domestic abusers in a slightly different way. But yes.
Now let me ask you, Doc. One of the things that has been associated with his history is his presence in the military. Mm-hmm. Does people in the military or people that have gone through military training or to war, are they more at risk of developing, let's say, mental issues that could lead to violence?
I don't necessarily think so. I think that this particular person was actually kicked out of the military.
Right.
But he had a history of abuse and a history of violence. And of course, he was able to shoot very well because he learned in the military. But I don't necessarily think that being in the military, people in the military are usually very responsible. Right. That's quite different than having PTSD or anything else associated with combat. This was a very disturbed person right from the very beginning. I'm sure that he was an abused kid at home, because abusers are often those who abuse.
Sometimes, you can be mad at somebody, okay? Right. Hey, that person hit me, or that person took my parking spot, or whatever it is. Yeah. There's a reason there. Mm-hmm. But when you go into these mass shootings and you're meeting strangers that didn't do anything to you, and many of them, you can see that...
Well, that's how the healthy person looks at it, right? The healthy person looks at it is, oh my gosh, these are innocent people, they didn't do anything wrong. But to the mass shooter, there's intense rage, and there's envy about the other. These other people are happy. These other people are hypocritical. These other people, they don't have the problems that I do. Very often, mass shooters are injustice collectors, and they're angry at the masses. So there's that component where everybody doesn't have a right to live because the mass shooter is angry with others in general. And then there's this feeling of just intense rage where killing one person's not enough. There's a desire to feel this intense, powerful feeling that you can eliminate people so that you can regain a sense of feeling good about oneself.
We tell a lot of people, if you recognize a behavior in somebody, ring the bell. Mm-hmm. But we never tell them what that behavior should look like. So why don't you guys tell me real quick 3 or 4 things that I, as let's say an individual, if I saw these types of behavior, I should say to myself, you know what, that person is maybe not, or somebody should look at that person because they're not behaving normally. So give me 2 or 3 examples.
I think the first thing is the ability to connect and the ability to look one's partner in the eye. If you see someone who can't look anyone in the eye and who's shuffling and seems to be have an internal monologue, that's someone that you should be a little wary of.
Somebody whose coping skills are impaired, so their first go-to is violence.
Right.
Somebody who likes the idea and will express ideas of wanting to off people. Very often social media could be a sign. So when we see people talking about violence on social media and liking the idea of offing people, that's disturbing. Someone who has fantasies of killing people and talks about it. Somebody who expresses that they are a definite danger to themselves or others. Very often people who kill will report a plan, but it's that we tend to live in that place of disbelief, and also there are a grouping of people who do express this and never act on it. So I think that's the challenge.
You both are prominent, psychotherapists, psychologists. How do we stop this madness?
I think
easier said than done.
You want to take it first?
I'll take it first. And this is a wonderful question for me. I think we take the stigma away from mental illness and mental health, and I think we make it available, and we normalize it. It is okay to see a therapist. It is okay to get help. It is okay to tell a friend, maybe you should get some help. I know a great place where you can get some help.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the first step.
And also teach emotional education. So that we understand emotions and we're not frightened by them. They don't do that.
Right.
So hopefully they will.
All right. Well, that's great answers. Thank you so much for being here. It's a very important topic. And if you have a health question, send a tweet to me and Dr. Manny on Fox. Until next time, I'm Dr. Manny.
Not even semi-final. Oh, oh man, I thought you talking about my damn art. Y'all motherfuckers talking about football. Mike, what up? I'm gonna take a little break. Can never get that glare off of that damn shit. Oh my god. That glare is the worst every time. It looks fantastic though. I'll just let you guys know. It does look fantastic. So I think I'm gonna go start The Witcher 3. There's several video games on my rack that I have not finished. So much so that I'm just gonna start them back over from the beginning. I think I played like the first 3 or 4 missions from The Witcher 3 and put it down and never played that shit again. So I'm gonna just start it back over to get familiar with the control system and all that shit. I just finished the storyline for Watch Dogs Part 2. I feel accomplished. I actually beat the whole game. So now I'm gonna try to do the same thing with The Witcher 3. I'll play The Witcher 3 for like an hour or so, then I'll probably play Ghost Recon Wildlands for an hour or so, and then I'm not sure. There's a good chance I'll be back in here this evening to work on this piece some more. I'm not sure if I'll stream it or not, but I'm more than likely probably definitely be in here. Getting a good roll going. You know what I'm saying? I'm on a roll. Oh yeah, fuck you. Speaker. Just make sure I turn everything off. But this is, I'm going to call this series Big Hair. I was going to call it Long Hair Don't Care or some shit like that, but I don't know, I still might do that. Long Hair Don't Care. Y'all know where that shit come from. Long Hair Don't Care, or the Big Hair series. I actually want to try to do like 1 or 2 more for this series. And my ear is itching real bad. So I have like 3 or 4 paintings in the one series. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Gotta get some more photos. And take one for the road. Oh, almost left my brush sitting in here. Alright guys, if y'all want to catch the video games, I'll be downstairs in a few. Peace.